Hello and what's up everybody, Cleveland Cali Rider back again, and this is something different I'm trying out. This is called CCRadio, or CCRadio, whatever, I don't care. Kind of a podcasty thing, I guess, that I'm doing for the fuck of it. And so for my first one, I'm gonna interview my buddy KFK Shadowwing. Or I'm just gonna call him Kev, because he's trying to kill that name.
Hello.
So, as you may have seen on my channel recently, I did a gameplay video of, like a gameplay review video of a game that my buddy Kev is developing. I'm speaking about you like you're not here, but I'm doing.
Alright, I'm just staying quiet.
I'm doing a.
Waiting to butt in.
I did a video on a game he is currently developing, and the demo he put out called Lost Legacy: Raiho's Rebellion, which is being created in RPGMaker XP. I almost said 2003, and and yeah, I played it. I had a pretty good time with it. It was just the idea of, like, you know, playing something that, you know, your friend that you've known basically your whole life has created, and you know, we've been doing this dumb RPG Maker thing for years, and like just finally having it. Like, I've played builds of your games before, like Shadows of Memory and Waters of Betrayal from, you know, the old Dead Elemental series. Yeah, but I never played like a full-fledged. You never sent me anything. You never like you never like sent me something that's meant to be, you know, played. You would usually just let me play, like when you still lived over here. You would usually just let me play. Yeah. You would usually just let me play. Hey, try this level out, or does this work? Or, you know, whatever. But this was basically a full-fledged demo. It took me half an hour, which isn't too bad. For, you know, something that's still very much a work in progress. But
little under the playtime I was expecting.
Yeah. But anyway, I kind of hijacked that intro anyway. So, first of all, introduce yourself and, like, what you do, what you used to do, and, you know, whatever. Where you live, your social security number. You know.
Die. Just go die.
Whatever you feel like divulging. Your current status.
I'm feeling charitable.
Your current virginity stat, just, you know, whatever you feel like.
Anyway, as he said, I'm KFK Shadowwing, or as he prefers, Kev. Basically, I like doing shit.
Like doing shit.
And doing random shit. And making RPG games. That's pretty much what I do these days.
And you used to Let's Play.
I used to do Let's Play. That is sadly a work in progress these days. Don't have a good enough computer to do it.
Yeah. That's a work in progress, just like every single Let's Play you ever did was a work in progress.
Hey, I finished one.
You finished one. You finished Fire Red.
Yes.
And you got close with Emerald, but something happened, I don't remember.
I lost all the save data again.
Again, that happened quite often. Because your computers...
3 or 4 times in a row. My computers are pieces of crap.
I know. Hey, you said it, not me. So,
As I'm saying this...
as you're saying that your computer shuts down.
Yeah, I was expecting that.
So, yeah, I guess a little history before I get into the topics I have. Was it 2012 or 2013 when you first showed me, like, that RPG Maker existed in the first place?
2011, I think, because I was still living in, I was still living in California.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say, you know, where we actually live, which is, Los Angeles, California.
Nah, I'm not that dumb.
But,
I'm not just gonna spill the name of your town.
Hey, it used to be your town too, asshole.
Yes, and I love the town dearly, even if it is a shithole.
So you showed that to me, and I vividly remember you sending me, I don't remember if it was a file or just like a web page that showed it, but you showed me a demo for one, and I looked around and I found a full download. I probably shouldn't divulge this, copyright, but I found a full download of RPGMaker 2003, and then we both started messing with that.
Well, actually, you can divulge that. I looked into the legalities of it for you. That was, you're actually allowed to use any free copy of 2003 these days.
Oh, wow. Well, these days.
It's
what about
over.
2011?
Well, even in 2011, it was like 10 or 15 years old, and
yeah,
they pretty much wrote that off.
Okay, well, that's cool. But yeah, you sent it to me, and then I stumbled across the full version. And man, it just started from there, didn't it?
Yeah, we had all these plans that most didn't pan out.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
And here we are.
And so it started, you made... Your first thing was Spirit Island, right? That janky little thing?
Yeah, it was just a test, and I didn't quite know what I was doing back then.
God, just looking at both of our, first... It's funny now, because back then, I was so much better at it. And then now...
Than I was.
And then now, because I've been gone, I haven't done it for so long, you're just leagues and bounds above me in, the coding and just, remembering stuff. Well, coding, quote-unquote.
Yeah.
Actual coding is a pain in the ass, but, the coding that the system...
Actually, it is real. It actually is real coding when you get into the advanced stuff.
Oh, I didn't know if you've been messing with that.
Yes, I have. I've learned... In VX8, I've pretty much got most of that figured out.
Oh, wow. But, yeah, it was interesting because, you started with Spirit Island, which was... my memory's a little foggy, but I remember it just being, really... Something just really simple and, strange.
It was crappy. Compared to what I do now.
Yeah. And then my first thing was... Winds of Nevermore. Because I started off... Because I remember vividly that I started off, I just made an island. I just made a little island. And while I was messing around, I added stuff to it, and then that became... What was it? It was a stupid name, Silvermine Island, I think it was. Silvermine?
Silvermane, I think.
Silvermine, one of those two.
I can actually tell you. I've got the notes here.
I don't remember if... I probably didn't name it until I, expanded on Winds of Nevermore later, but I remember, Winds of Nevermore started with, it just started with that little island, and then you go into the town, then you go on a boat, and then you go into some ruins, then you fight a golem, you go inside the ruins, and then you... fight the boss, and then it's done. That was the entire quote-unquote game, and I don't remember how long that took me, but and at the time, it wasn't even part of what we ended up working on. We ended up expanding on, calling the Elemental series, I don't believe. I think it just started out as its own thing.
Yeah. Elemental series, I remember that was birthed because I had no idea what I wanted to create, and you had already had that island created and characters created, and I kind of piggybacked off you.
Right. So I think we were talking about, just making... It would be cool to make, you use the same characters, and then we make it, a series of some sort.
Yeah, that was the gist.
Yeah, and then, that was when... Was your first project after Spirit Island Waters of Betrayal, or was there other stuff?
Waters of Betrayal was the direct after of Spirit Island.
Yeah,
I actually incorporated Spirit Island into that.
Into however many builds of Water of Betrayal you had? After you kept losing everything?
Spirit Island was actually phased out by the final version before we dumped the project.
Yeah.
But the very earliest rendition had it in there.
Because I remember like when because I showed, I don't remember, I don't think well, no, I didn't send it to you because I know we didn't know how to do that back then, but I do remember, like, I recorded that video and I think I showed you. Actually, no, what the fuck am I talking about? You used to live here, so I just flat out showed you. For some reason, you've been gone so long, I forgot you used to live here. But, I remember you would just come over and I would flat out show you. Like, I showed you the entire thing. And then, as we got super giddy with, like, the idea of creating these projects that, like, we expanded on everything. We created this, like, lore and whatever, and that's when I started expanding on Winds of Nevermore. When and you were there, you saw a lot of it. I added a bunch of shit. Like, I just added everything. Like, like, it expanded a lot. And then,
and it was great.
Yeah, I was almost done with it. Remember Tony?
The
great man, Tony.
Inside joke for you guys out there, but Tony was awesome.
He'll be back.
Eventually.
But, yeah. And then I remember, we got super excited. You started spreading yourself way too thin with, like, 80 games. What the hell were you working on?
Yeah, because I got carried away. It was... You know how I am when I start working on things.
It was funny, like, watching it from the outside looking in, because you had Waters of Betrayal in your hands, and then, like Shadows of Memory was on the shelf, and you're like, well, I can hold 2 things at once. And then you started trying to hold 18 things at once.
I'm the kind of guys, when I get an idea, I want to immediately use it.
Yeah.
I jump.
And see, the better thing would be to immediately, write it down, which I know you also do, but then you also go way too far ahead.
Yeah, well, I let my imagination run wild.
Yeah. And then, we got excited, and then we formed this ragtag team of K&M Shadowwing, which is the K&M being an acronym of both of our first names. And we started, quote-unquote, we started developing games under that. Really, he developed games, and I was working on a game.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, at the time. And then it just kind of evolved from there once I lost Winds of Nevermore.
Yeah, once you lost the data for Winds of Nevermore, things just collapsed.
Yeah. K&M Shadowing was done, and...
I actually remember I was really close to the end of Waters of Betrayal. I think I had, like, one more level to go. And then you sent me a message through Skype saying to scrap everything.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens.
Yeah. I want to revive the Elemental series eventually, but we'll see.
So, after everything collapsed, I kind of backed away from RPGMaker for a long time. While you kept on with it for a long time. And
we're doing it now.
Yeah, and you had so many projects in the works. You just kept pumping out just ideas and so many things that, for some reason or another never came to fruition. I think your closest thing that ever came out, I mean, it was still very much in development, I think, you're telling me, but Dragon Song, I think what it was, right?
Yeah, I was almost done with that. And then my computer took a crap.
Yeah. And, yeah, you lost all that.
See, I go through so many different renditions because of computer issues.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the kind of guy where I'm just going to dump a project once it doesn't go my way. I have to try and finish it.
Yeah, you've started Waters of Betrayal and Dragon Song from scratch so many times.
At least 7.
Yeah, it was a lot. And so that basically brings us to where we are now with you kind of leading the charge
Lost
in a way
Legacy.
with Lost Legacy,
Yeah.
and like just kind of, you know, you really put your after it was immediately after Dragon Song collapsed that you started working on Lost Legacy, right? I think so.
Oh, almost immediately. It collapsed, and then I was bummed out, feeling discouraged. Everything almost went the way of
Me?
Winds of Nevermore. Yeah. And then I got XP off of your recommendation. And then after exploring with XP, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this get me down. I've got ideas still. I'm building something, and Lost Legacy was born.
Awesome. So, starting on the topics, now that the history lesson's out of the way.
Right.
So, give a short, preferably spoiler-free, just general plot summary for Lost Legacy. I know, with games that are unfinished, the story is always changing. Like, you find something you don't like,
right,
or you add something new. But at the moment, what is the current, like, short, kind of spoiler-free plot summary of Lost Legacy?
Honestly, with Lost Legacy still being in development, so you can take this with a grain of salt, like you said, the basic storyline is about this guy named Raiho. And honestly, I jump around with his profession a bit in Lost Legacy in the beginning.
Right.
But I finalized it that he lives in his town. Him and his sister pretty much join their world's version of military and kind of get sucked into the politics of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, something happens. I don't want to spoil what that is exactly, but something happens that leaves the two siblings at odds with each other, and Raiho vowing revenge against the world government.
And that's basically the plot summary for Lost Legacy: Raiho's Rebellion?
At this point, yes.
Yeah, okay. I think it sounds pretty good, because I worked with you a little bit on the, like, you would ask me questions, because you come to me a lot for plot hole advice. And
you're good at that.
and you asked me, like, and you asked me about, like, contradictory stuff and, like, stuff that doesn't really make sense sometimes. So, like, yeah, you came to me quite a few times, and, like, not even came to me, just like when we were talking, you would say, hey, you'd say, like, I think this is where I'm going to go, and then I would point out how that maybe wouldn't make a lot of sense, and then you're like,
right.
And then I would suggest something else, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll think about it, and maybe I'll work it in, and it all just always kind of evolves from there.
Usually about 80% of your suggestions get implemented. Only because you actually think things through better than I do.
Well, yeah, you're a man of passion.
Yeah, I'm a guy where this works, do it, work at the details later.
Yeah.
It's a flaw of mine. But yeah, about 80% of your ideas I usually end up going with.
That's why we need to co-work on a game, co-develop a game.
That we'd probably get about something great.
Maybe. How is the development of Lost Legacy been going? Like, what's the current progress and all that? Like, where does it stand right now?
It's about 10, maybe 15% in.
Mm-hmm. So still pretty
not
early.
Too far. Yeah, still pretty. Not too early. I've been having plot issues with it that I haven't wanted to admit to. And really, I don't like RPGMaker XP.
Yeah.
Which has really slowed down progress with it, because that's the engine I'm using.
Anything you don't like about it, like specifics?
Honestly, I'm not too fond of, like, for example, the layers that it has? I'm not too fond of the layers. I'm not too fond of how disorganized the tile sets are.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it really hard for me to come up with anything I wouldn't say good because it's okay, but not. It makes my own lack of design worse, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the layers, and I'm not a fan of the layout of the tile sets. It makes my own lack of design, level design worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm actually doing better with VX Ace than I am with XP, which I'm loving VX Ace. But yeah, it's just those little things with XP that make it really difficult for me to pick back into the game.
So would you consider, like, maybe... Because, I mean, you have a good amount of game there, and, you know, the XP version. Are you considering moving it to VX, or, like, as a compromise, what you can do is, like, make what you have in XP, like a prequel story or something, like a short prequel game?
What I was thinking of doing was releasing what I have in XP as like a second demo,
mm-hmm.
and then doing an overhaul of it in VX Ace.
Yeah, that could work.
At least that was the idea I was leaning towards,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not too sure at the moment.
Yeah.
Lost Legacy will be finished. I am not dumping this project.
I think it would, I don't know. Like, I mean, that is a good idea, like, just kind of dumping the demo you have. Like, not dumping, but, like, you know, just putting it out there so, you know, it's out there at least. But I feel like it'd be cool to, like, I mean, it would take a lot more work, but, like, if you were to make it, like, some sort of prequel game, you know what I mean?
That could work as well.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's all down to what happens in the future.
Right. I'm not too sure how I'm gonna eventually do it. I will say that some version of Lost Legacy will be released eventually.
Eventually. Q3 2019.
I don't know exactly when. I can't promise it'll be within a year or two, but it will be out. I can promise that it won't be like 10 or 20 years.
If it's 10 or 20 years, the game better be good.
Yeah, it won't be another Elemental series where everything falls apart. I'm determined to make this work.
So speaking of the demo a few minutes ago, so how did the idea to put out a demo come about, and what is the current status of the demo and a possible release? Like, where would you release it?
The idea for the demo, that actually came about with, I was frustrated with the game as I was building it. Mm-hmm. Honestly, working with XP, working on a storyline that I'm actually branching out, because the storyline I'm using for Lost Legacy is not something I've done before. It's completely different from my usual plots.
Right.
So working with a plot I couldn't exactly see all the way to the end. Working with a system I didn't like, I was struggling. Mm-hmm. Like I still am. And I remember you and I talked about me struggling, and you said, well, maybe you should release a demo or something. And I thought about it, and I thought you were correct, and I should make something at least, you know?
Right. Something to put out there.
Yeah. So I worked on it, thought about what I wanted to do, and eventually came up with the idea that I didn't want to do any spoilers for the actual game. I didn't want any plot spoilers, so I didn't want to do that for the demo. Mm-hmm. Instead, I built around a optional dungeon that I had already pretty much designed. And that's what became the demo. The demo is about, I want to say, 88% done.
The second version of the demo.
Second version, yes. The demo as you played it is completely finished, but this 2.0 it still has a little bit more to go.
Mm-hmm. And you've been working on it for quite a while, so there's been numerous changes probably.
Yeah. The core of the game, like the plot of it, is more or less what you played.
Mm-hmm.
But there are mechanics differences. The tent has been changed and resized.
Mm-hmm.
And the labyrinth looks pretty much the same, but I added to it, made it harder.
And various like bug and map fixes and stuff.
Yeah, bug and map fixes. There are various bugs that were in the demo that I didn't catch the first time around, which actually surprised me when you were like, there's a bug here and there.
And so the current status of the second version of the demo is about 80, you'd say?
About 80,
and
give or take.
And so with it being that close, what are you thinking for a possible release of the demo? Like, do you think you'll like release it publicly? Like, where would you put it?
I will release it publicly on crap. I can't think of the site's name right now.
Newgrounds?
Newgrounds, thank you. I'm going to release it publicly on Newgrounds as soon as I finish the second part of the demo and have you bug test it.
Anywhere else you're going to try to put it up, or just Newgrounds?
As of right now, Newgrounds is the only one I'm planning.
Have you looked into that?
I have.
Oh, okay.
I actually already have an account on Newgrounds.
Oh.
And I already checked all that out.
Oh, cool.
I was thinking of putting it on Steam as a Steam demo.
Uh-huh.
But for some reason, when I connect it with Steam, it messes up the RPGMakers. It did it with VXAce and it did it with XP. Something when I connect it to Steam directly interferes.
That's strange.
I don't know what causes it, so I have to disable its link to Steam.
And so the second version of the demo will see light of day relatively soon.
If everything goes the way I'm planning, it should be released within the next couple months.
Alright. Well, hopefully sooner than that.
It'll probably be sooner than that. I'm just going off the fact that I am working on other projects while working on this.
Yeah. So, the next topic is one I'm curious about. Because you have much more experience than me in all three of the systems. And I own all three now as well. But, what do you personally feel like, cause since you've been through all of them and you pretty much dug deep through all of them, what was the transition like from 2K3 to XP to VX for you?
Well, to go into that, I have to give you a bit of background for each system, if you don't mind the lengthy history.
Please go.
With 2K3, I barely understood the system. As much as I like to say that I wouldn't say expert, but intermediate, I guess you could say, in what I'm doing.
Like you know your way around.
I know my way around the system, but really, I knew nothing with 2003. Everything I thought I knew, it was just barely basic. When I transferred into XP, I learned a lot more. And if it wasn't for the fact that I dislike the way it works, I'd probably know a lot more than I currently do.
Your transfer to XP was very recent, right?
It was.
Really
it was
recent.
Several months, maybe 3, 4.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Like, it was very recent.
I delve into it because 2003, don't get me wrong, I love the system, I love how it worked.
You nostalgic for it?
I'm nostalgic for it, but graphics, design choices,
that
certain
battle system,
little nitpicks, the battle system
that we both despised. My
own lack of understanding of programming.
Mm-hmm.
wore me down. In the end, I was using 2003 as more of an idea folder than an actual creator.
That's completely true. I've seen your idea folder and your fun file. That was... Why don't you explain what your fun file is?
Fun file is basically a file I start up on every RPGMaker I make. And it's a file where I test out new ideas when I don't want to screw with an actual game.
If you were to see the inside of this man's fun file, it's chaos. There's shit everywhere. The list, like, because the map, like when you put maps, they're in a list on the bottom left. It's just there's so many, and like there's just stuff thrown around everywhere because it's all just tests, and like there's sprites, and then and there's switches and events and stuff like that. When I saw it, it was really funny to see because I only saw your 2K3 one, but
right,
I can imagine they're all pretty much chaotic.
Yeah, well, they're all pretty much the same idea, just testing out and seeing what I can get away with.
Yeah, you need to. Whenever you get a better computer, you need to do a video like on your fun
Send
folder.
you them?
No, you need to do like a video on your channel on your fun folder because I think that'd be very entertaining. Just like looking through all the crap that's in there.
Yeah, that actually would be really interesting, especially considering I'm not sure what's all in there.
So, yeah, and so the transition from
Yeah.
You felt like you got a little more experience from VX, but from XP, but so how was it like transition from XP to VX?
It was surprisingly completely smooth.
Really?
XP and VX Ace they're completely different, but they're similar enough to where I wasn't floundering.
Right.
It wasn't like XP to 2003 to where the jump in years was so much that I barely knew the new system from the old.
Right.
This one I could just jump in and I knew right away what I was doing. And I immediately began researching more advanced stuff because my ultimate goal is to make a professional game.
Mm-hmm.
Or as professional as I can make it without going to school for it.
Right.
And VX Ace, it fits like a glove. I love the system. I had my nitpicks when I first bought the system. You've heard my rant on that. But I got over it very quickly. And, like, I'm doing stuff in VX Ace that I could not do with any of the other systems.
Right.
You heard some of my ideas for that. I think I told you about the banking system I was thinking about.
Yeah, that didn't go too well.
I actually got that finished.
Oh, you fixed it?
Fixed it today, found out what was wrong.
Oh, awesome. So another question, like, kind of regarding that, like, you know, the transition between systems.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel because... Well, actually, first off, I find it kind of funny, because, like, you worked with 2003 basically from 2011 to now, like, to just a couple months ago. So, yeah. That leap was pretty big. But then the leap but then you sat down, you kind of dissected XP, you learned, like, where they were, whenever they released that, and then you jumped to VX, and so that jump was a lot smaller. So I feel like, you know, you got the gist of the way the modern day RPGMaker works with XP, and then you jumped to VX and you weren't, you know, completely lost.
Right. And really, I had my issues with all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to take what I learned in the past and build on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as you said, I wasn't completely lost when I jumped from XP to VXA.
And so another question with the one I was going to ask before I went on that tangent. How do you feel about, like, because in 2003, even with how old it is, there was so much, like, there were so many resources available, you know what I mean? Like, even if some of them were taken from other games, like other actually published games by, like, Nintendo and shit, there were a lot of resources available, and then moving over to XP, and there's almost nothing. It's, like, completely bare.
That was tough.
Yeah, I imagine.
That was really tough, and I'm actually having a similar issue with VXA.
Well, yeah,
Not as bad.
Yeah, well, with VXAs, the thing is, like, they know, like, with them releasing a bare bones system, like, they just release everything, like, any resources people may want, they just release them for a fee, you know?
Right. And resources is probably my biggest issue.
Mm-hmm.
I am, as you know, I am not great on drawing. I'm not good with sprite creation, from, like, building it from scratch, or creating tile sets from scratch and all
Basically,
that.
spriting, pixel art, pretty much.
Yeah. I've got no idea how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to buy my resources or find them.
Yeah. Which isn't an easy task.
Right. Especially when you're a guy who's broke and has no job.
And so the last thing in this topic I wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I've mentioned this a couple times before, but we never, like, I don't think we ever talked about it, like, in a call. So I just want to gauge your interest in, like, what your actual opinion is on this idea. So I threw this idea at you not too long ago, but of making, like, a trilogy of games. So 3 games, one in 2K3, one in XP, and one in VX. Like, I think it would be cool to, like, I mean, it would be difficult because you probably wouldn't be able to get all the characters in, you know? But I feel like if it could somehow work, it would be interesting, because it would basically be like seeing, you know, not to as much of an extent, but it would basically be like seeing, you know, the evolution of a console, or, you know, the evolution of gaming in general.
I really want to do that, actually.
Yeah.
It's something that the moment you brought it up, I looked into how I'd go about doing it, and I liked the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have an idea of how it could work too. Like you said, we wouldn't be able to get all the characters in.
Yeah.
But if you add time skips or region differences.
Yeah. I think for something like that, you'd have to... XP would be, like, the main thing. You'd have to find a character in XP who looks very similar to someone in 2K3 that you can remake in VXAs. So
right.
XP is kind of the, you know, XP is kind of the, you know, the center of it all. You have to find a character who looks somewhat similar to another character in 2K3, so, you know, you can connect that dot, and then that could most likely be easily recreated in VX.
It's doable. Difficult, but doable.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember where that idea came from. It was just an idea I had that I thought would be really cool somewhere down the line.
Actually, most definitely. It's something I'm actually looking forward to doing eventually.
Alright, and well, the last topic is, so what are, I mean, I already know the answer, at least for the most part. I know one, but what are other projects you're currently working on in RPGMaker, and other just general ideas you have at the moment? Just
an RPGMaker in general?
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing something in VXAs that I'm planning for the future. I don't want to get too much into that. You know quite a bit about it.
Uh-huh.
I'm doing that. I'm doing, like, I have a ton of ideas. You know me, I'm the idea guy.
Yeah. I've seen your phone before.
I've got
I've seen your notepad.
Ideas. I've got tons of ideas that I'm working on. How do I put this? Give me a plot line, and I'm most likely going to try and design something off it.
Do you want to announce the VX game right now?
Yes.
Do it.
The VX Ace game that's coming out, the Gray Facade.
The Gray Facade
is something I'm trying that's different from any other game I've ever done, including Lost Legacy. It is a game that is going to have a demo soon that my good buddy here might play for you all.
Yay.
I don't know if you intend to actually make a video of that or not.
Probably.
Well, then, when that comes out, we can do another interview.
Yeah.
One thing with that, though, is it's going to be... The gist of it is it's a blur between what's right and wrong.
Right.
The two main characters are opposites of each other, yet they're the same. They're opposites of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too much into story because a lot of it is in early development.
Yeah.
It's not even 5% done. I don't even think it's 3%.
Which is funny with how much you said. Jesus Christ. Well, actually, no, that does make sense because you said with like the scale you're looking at, it's probably going to be a big game.
It's going to be a huge game, and it's
because from what you told me, you have quite a bit done, but if that only amounts for 3%, holy shit.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I've got a storyline for both characters that you can play as in the game.
Right.
And I've got the game created in my head down to a point with enough margin for error to input changes down the line.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, what I've actually got programmed compared to what I've got written down is small.
Yeah.
And what I've got programmed is already pretty big.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because you had, like, I think just today you told me, like, where you were, you know, just in the programming aspect, and I thought that was a lot.
Huge. One thing I do want to say about that game is when it eventually is released, it'll probably be released sometime either after Lost Legacy or maybe a little bit before. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, because Lost Legacy is kind of in limbo a bit after the demo.
Yeah. That game, it's not going to be a game that you drop it and then like you complete the main story and then it's done. There's going to be things to do in a post-game, which I know a lot of games recently do post-games because that's what people like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about that.
Right? But I love a good post-game.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the main story is fun, but if you can go back and play it for months on end, if not years, to me that's worth money.
So, you know, I'm gonna give people an insider to like what we usually talk about, like when we're in calls. I'm gonna give them a little, you know, well, I did it earlier, but I'm gonna give them a little, you know, idea throw out, as I call it. So I just had an idea. So, with the whole post-game idea, do you think you're gonna, like, they kill the final boss and then they're free to roam, or would they have to load back their last save?
They'd probably have to load... Let me actually correct that before I finish that sentence. What I was going to say is they'd probably have to load back their last save, but I actually thought of a way to do that without having to.
Oh, okay. Because what I was thinking was to just make the world even bigger, like, just in terms of, like, personality and stuff, is, like, if you can, just revisit wherever you want, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually something I was considering doing.
No, wait. If you can just revisit wherever you want, like, people say something different. You know, you go back
Yeah.
into a town, and people's dialogue, like everyone's dialogue, is completely different. You know what I mean? That would be super interesting because, like, if you pay attention to that kind of stuff, because I'm the kind of person who talks to everybody and like talks to
Right.
anything, even remotely looking strange, to see if I can get an
Well,
item out of it.
things will be different. Like, things will change after it. Like, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret that I've been keeping with New Game. I haven't even mentioned this to you yet, although I've shown you some concept designs.
Mm-hmm.
I showed you a concept design a while back of an abandoned house. I don't know if you remember it or not.
Yeah, I recall.
There is a side quest with that house that I've programmed in already, that it actually changes every time you visit the house.
Oh, really?
And each time you visit the house, something different will occur. And at the end of the game, I want you to be able to go back and be able to solve the mystery of that house.
Oh, that'd be awesome. But I mean, that would be... So would it be like something... Because they can't just like go in the house, do that, and then exit and then go back in, right? They'd have to complete something else.
Yeah, there's milestones.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's like one of the mini side quests I've got programmed in there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
One thing I do want to talk about, if you don't mind me going on off a different tangent.
Yeah, go
ahead. You mentioned you wanted to discuss more about the XP Lost Legacy demo in depth on here. Do you still want to do that?
Oh yeah, because that was before... Because we meant to do this a lot, like way sooner than we did. Like right after that video came out, I kind of meant to do this, and then just time happened.
Right.
And, like, it was going to be before you implemented any of the fixes. But,
right.
So before we get into that, I want to say one more thing.
Go for it.
Like, going off of, like, what people like at the end of the game, like, end game stuff. So, like, the suggestions were obviously, you know, they could just free roam to finish all the side quests. Or one of my suggestions that, you know, it's probably not going to be used, even though it's one of my favorite things, just because it adds a lot more story, like direct story. Because side quests are cool, but like adding direct story, I like a little bit more. But an idea I threw out to you was like an epilogue, you know, like a time skip or something like that at the end of the game.
Yeah, an ending scene.
Yeah. It's like an epilogue. Like, you think the game's over, and then it cuts back, and you have like maybe an hour more of playtime or whatever. But yeah,
I've considered that.
Yeah, it's just whatever fits for, you know, the game at that time.
Honestly, I thought about that when we were discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it would actually work with the game I'm building.
Right.
Like, I know exactly where I want to go at the end of the game for both Lost Legacy and the Gray Facade.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about implementing that in one or both games.
Right.
And I looked at Lost Legacy, and I'm like, I'm not even going to be able to fit a post-game into Lost Legacy. So, with that being said, I'm most likely not going to be able to implement that into Lost Legacy.
Right.
I looked more into the Gray Facade, and I was like, I could do it. It'd be a bit difficult to do because of programming issues.
Yeah.
But it could be done. One thing I do need to look into, though, is do you know if there's a size limit on...
the games?
No, well, on the games, there's no size limit that I could see. Is there a size limit on the website, Newgrounds?
Probably. I can't answer that. I don't go on Newgrounds a lot.
With how big the Gray Facade's going to already be, if there's a size limit, I'm worried about that interfering.
With what? The full game or the demo?
With the full game.
Oh.
Adding an ending cutscene, I mean, like that extra time.
Yeah.
I'm worried about time constraints.
Yeah. See, with that Steam thing, I don't think you have to really worry about that. Like, I don't think it. Like, all you have to do is zip the game up, and I think you just send it to Steam for their consideration to put it for a demo. I don't think it has to be connected at all. You know what I mean? So I think it's still possible to get it there on the demo.
If that's true, then I'll definitely put it on Steam as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case, but...
I wasn't sure when I looked into it, and then for some reason having it connected to Steam the way it was, it was just glitching out badly.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you just have to like zip your game up and then send it to them. Although, like,
okay.
You know, look more into that, but yeah.
And it will be, all of this will be completely free.
Yeah. So, yeah, going back a little bit on, so the Lost Legacy demo, really not much to talk about, it's already done, but I guess I'll just go through what I remember.
Yeah.
You comment on, you know, what your thoughts were at the time or whatever.
That's what I want to do, yeah.
Yeah. So I remember starting it, I don't want to go through, like, the entire demo, but just the stuff that was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, just stuff you remember.
Yeah. Like, those trees on the bottom, like, I don't see how, like, you didn't see that. You know, like, how the stumps weren't connected to some of them?
Honestly, when I originally designed the area, this was actually the last area I built.
The tent?
The tent and the clearing was the last area I physically built.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh god, 3 in the morning maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It may have been super late, which would have explained a lot.
It was really late. I was wanting to get it done, and I kind of cut some corners.
But after that, the demo, it was cool. It was generally uneventful. Like, it was just because you're good at this stuff. Like, you can make a functional game. Like, really, the only thing you need to work on for the most part is just map design, like making stuff look believable and not just large empty squares, you know what I mean?
Right,
and you're getting better at that with a lot of the pictures you sent me. Even some of your towns are looking pretty great. But yeah, just in general, it was just bugs, like with the demo, like walking on the walls. Did you ever figure that out? The walking on the wall?
I actually don't know. I don't know what's causing that, because I checked in there and the tile set's marked as a wall. It's marked as non-passable.
Uh-huh.
And I checked the stuff on the wall thinking maybe the stuff on the wall was allowing you to pass it. But that's all non-passable as well.
So it's just walking on the walls.
That wall, and it's just that wall.
Yeah, it's not the one upstairs.
And it's the same tile set for both walls. So, I don't know if... I don't actually think that's my glitch. I think that's a glitch with the program.
Because that was really weird. Like, I was very confused. But, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
One thing I do want to say with the labyrinth. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. I would have went through the entire thing if it wasn't for... If I had potions, and if it wasn't for those fucking hellhounds. Those fucking hellhounds.
I've actually removed those.
Yeah, you told me. They do like 200 damage or some shit. It's so terrible. They were so bad. Like, I just wanted to avoid everybody. Like, I could kill the imps no problem, because Raiho was a bit OP. But,
right.
Like, the imps and the trolls and the weird little sex toy guys, whatever those guys were, the imps or whatever.
Right.
they weren't that bad, but, like, the what's it called? The hellhounds, who just wouldn't go down and would just do so much damage. I just had to run from every fight.
Got ya.
But yeah, it was really cool going in. Like, it was really cool going in because there was like, there was, I don't know how much story oriented stuff there was, but I remember finding like a tablet or a paper or something you could read and get a lot of story out of.
Quite a bit, actually, is in there.
There was a frog that said some philosophical shit and just disappeared, which is like my favorite thing in the fucking demo. I laughed so much at that. I think that was in the video, right? Like
It was. I actually.
The frog showed up and I just lost. I'm like, what the fuck? Like that frog needs to be the new Tony. I fucking love that frog. I laughed so much at that frog. Like it was just like. It was just the utter confusion of like the frog saying some philosophical crazy shit, like life-altering shit, and just disappearing. And he was just in a chest for some reason. Like, what the? Tell me, what was that? What the hell was that? Will he be like a new mascot? I don't need to ask that question because I know he will. You have no choice. He needs to be.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The frog was actually a little joke I put in there for you specifically.
Really?
Because I knew you enjoyed that kind of stuff, and I put the frog in there specifically for you to find.
That's awesome.
And I kept imagining just you losing your shit over it.
I think it's the contrast of everything. Like the frog. It's not a very serious creature, you know, and he just comes out and says some just crazy shit and just disappears. God, I loved it so much. It was so amazing.
Yeah, the frog was actually my gift to you. There was one thing I noticed when you were going through the demo that I don't think you caught, and I was waiting for you to catch it because I was waiting for you to get really pissed off over it. Or at least aggravated. There's actually a secret boss in that labyrinth.
Oh, really? To be fair, I didn't go on like the right side of the labyrinth because one, it was really late, and two, like I had just gone through so much of it. I had just gone through so much already that like the hellhounds were kind of, you know, eating at my soul.
Well, I realized you didn't go through the whole thing, so I didn't know if you missed it or if you ran into it and just didn't say about it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a secret boss in the game that it has less HP than all the bosses, but its defenses and attack is almost double the final boss.
Oh, shit.
And the only way to access that boss is there's a chest that's not like the others. There's a wooden chest. I don't know if you saw the wooden chest in there or not.
I don't think so. Do you remember where it was? Was it like somewhere on the right?
I'm actually looking at it right now. It's on the right side of it.
Like far right? Because I specifically remember I didn't really go very far right.
It's on the far right next to the chest that gives you the seed of life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I made it that far. Because I think the hellhounds were killing me. So I tried to get through it as quick as I could.
Right, I understand completely. But what you have to do is you open that chest and nothing happens. It's locked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the chest is locked. You can't open it. And it says that it's locked. And then the moment you try to open that chest, an invisible boss will start wandering through the maze.
Are you serious?
It's completely invisible. You can't see it.
Does it wander or does it make a beeline to you?
No, it's completely random.
Huh.
And it's actually, the trigger for that is actually, the event itself is actually inside a wall. And it's designed to just walk through walls, walk through the maze. I've estimated you have maybe a 25% chance of running into it.
Jesus.
If not less.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that. I probably would have lost I would have been so confused. Like, so it's completely invisible, right?
Yes, you run into it and you can't run from it.
So if it's completely invisible, so I would just be wandering the maze or something. Like
until it runs
until it hits you. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's well, I was thinking it would be pretty surprising, but it wouldn't be that surprising because, you know, random battles, but it would probably be kind of confusing. Like when you're
It would actually be...
Huh?
The crazy thing is, you'd know what it is. You'd know it's not like the regular random encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for one, when you hit it, it lets off a scream.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. It'll let off a scream. And at the same time, It's the only one of its kind in there. Like, you'd run into multiple hellhounds, multiple creatures.
Yeah, like trolls or imps or whatever.
Yeah, and you'd run into them like maybe 2 or 3 at a time, right?
Yeah.
This is just by itself. And it's completely freaky. It's actually, I can give you the name of the boss.
What was it?
It was called, let me pull it up. It's right at the bottom here. Shadow of Light. It's just this freaky phantom-looking thing. It's transparent, too.
I don't think it would have been fun.
It's actually the hardest thing in there. And after you beat it, you get the key to that chest.
What's in the chest?
In the chest is actually a necessary item that gives you a bunch of lore.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, because I remember talking... Oh, go ahead.
Without that, actually, you're missing, like, a big chunk of lore.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about, like... I enjoy side quests, but only if they're very pertinent to the lore. And yeah, seeing you take that in consideration, like, such a kind of different way, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, let me correct that, because I just looked over the item in question, and I kind of made one mistake on my explanation. The item it gives you is the feather, and it tells you in the description of the item to see Ileana.
Oh, really? So her dialogue changes?
Her dialogue will change, and she'll show you a different flashback.
Oh, no way.
And not only will she show you a different flashback, but she'll also give you another book, which is a diary.
Huh. And
that diary will give you a ton of lore.
Well, but then you kind of missed out on the other flashback, right?
No, actually, because it's designed to where you get to see both. You can get to see both flashbacks.
Oh, okay.
They're two separate
events.
Yeah, two separate events.
Huh. Wow, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to look for that in the second version of the demo.
Right. It was just this huge thing I had planned, and I was waiting to see if you'd find it.
The Hellhounds, man.
Yeah, I actually removed the Hellhounds and took your suggestion, adding them for the mid-boss.
That's cool.
One other thing I want to say, because there's a lot I want to say about this, but I'm pretty sure we're running kind of on time.
A fucking frog.
The flashback.
Uh-huh.
That flashback was my favorite thing to program.
It seemed really cool. I mean, so that scene of her, like, with the fire around her and her on that gallows or whatever was that like one whole, like, entity? One whole, like, sprite or something? What
it was a detailed sprite set with the fire and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what I had to actually do to program that, it was a bit tricky to do, but because the set itself was detailed, the fire around it, the stakes, the girl,
right,
and the executioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's all one set. But the actual sound effects and the fire sound effect you saw, the bursts of fire.
I think there was a scream, too.
The scream, that was all me.
That's awesome. I thought that was really well done.
Thank you. That was actually my favorite thing to program. Did it make sense?
It's been a while since I played it, but yeah, I think it made sense.
I actually did not want to ask you for help on that scene because I wanted it to be one of those things where you were surprised at.
I was surprised by it.
That was actually a huge thing. The crowd in there, the guy giving her reading the trials, the judge being an ex-boyfriend of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, there was obviously some things I wish would have been done better. Like, I wish the guy didn't just disappear, and I wish, the map wasn't just a square in a forest, But I mean, otherwise, like, it was well done.
It was done better than I usually do.
Yeah. So oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing I want to say, though, about that ending scene, it's supposed to be confusing.
Mm-hmm.
That ending, her last line, actually, if you look at it, you can kind of guess what she's trying to say, but you don't get the whole picture. So what you most likely think it says is probably not what she's saying.
Oh, really?
I actually make it seem like she's saying one thing when she's saying something completely different.
Huh.
I actually have it set to where you read it, and it makes it seem like she's saying something very cliche and obvious.
Uh-huh.
But really, it's a plot twist.
Oh, that's cool.
So, before we change tracks, I actually have a question. What did you think it said, if you can remember?
I can't remember.
Alright, then.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. I was just curious on what you got out of that scene.
Yeah, you probably have to watch the video, because I probably said it in there. Like, I probably read what I thought she said, but... Yeah,
You actually didn't.
Oh, I didn't? Oh.
No, because I watched the video about 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine you did. But yeah, I guess I was probably just glazed over it. It was really late, in my defense.
Actually, no, it was fine. I actually loved your analysis of it. I actually just thought it was amazing you were finally playing something I made.
Yeah, I felt the same way. So I have 2 other things that I wanted to ask about. 2 2 kind of glitches. Oh, what was it? Was it 2 or 1? There was 1. I mean, they're small things, but I just want to. I'm just curious, like, how they happened and how you fixed them. So one was like a mimic. You open it and then the sound plays, but then the battle doesn't commence until you talk to it again.
It was late when I was designing it.
Mm-hmm.
And another, I spent all night on the maze, didn't get much sleep.
Right.
And I actually forgot to set it as an auto event.
Oh, that would explain it.
I set it as an action button instead of a touch.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fixed. I bet I can guess what the second one is, but go ahead and say it.
The Immortal Scorpion?
The Immortal Scorpion.
That thing was like
that
thing was like the fucking Terminator.
My mistake there was I never actually... there are about 4, maybe 5 scorpions that trigger after you open the exit.
Right.
The dungeon crawlers, I call them.
Oh, so they show up only after you flip the switch?
Only after you flip the switch.
Oh.
They're the last line of defense. And they're all on different areas of the map.
Right.
They're not all clumped together. They're literally all over the map when they trigger. The problem was I went through each of them and I miscounted. I thought that I had set all of them to die.
Right.
And I missed one.
So there was just one completely immortal scorpion wandering around.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it because I didn't even know which one it was. Because I tested the scorpions and they all died, and then the one on the far right, as it turned out to be.
Yeah, I think it was upper right, far upper right.
It was immortal, and I didn't realize it. They're not actually set to random. They're set to chase after you.
Yeah, he was chasing me and he kind of blocked me into an area, and I'm like, oh shit, how am I gonna get out of here? And I had to like cheese him out, like try to corner him and run past him.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I actually hunted down that scorpion until I figured out which one it was. My biggest mistake, my biggest glitch, and I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it, although you mentioned it when you talked about the demo, was the final boss being missing.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't talk about it in the... I didn't mention it now. Well, because it was like... It was an easy fix, like, you just forgot. I'm sure you Oh man, I wish there was like I wish you could have done like a reaction video to it, but like
I lost my.
when I just walked over, I'm like, oh, there's a pendant. What's this? And it ended up being nothing, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I touched like I think the crystal was out, so I just touched the crystal, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going back. And then
Well, what happened?
I went back, and I was in the room with the black skin chick,
Right.
and I'm like, wait, so are you? And then in my head, I was like, you're gonna be the final boss, aren't you? And then she just showed me a cutscene. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Was that you? Thanks for playing Lost Legacy. What the fuck? Never mind.
What happened there? Like I already told you what happened, so I'm not going to go over it again.
Yeah. Well, you are.
But I am, but I'm not going to actually explain what went wrong there because you actually explained that.
Yeah.
What I am going to say though is, I was sitting here just doing some last-minute adjustments to the maze and stuff while you were playing, and as soon as you told me that, I was like, "Wait, did he miss something? Did I screw up?"
I didn't even know that the last boss was missing. I just walked past it.
Yeah, I actually felt. When I saw I screwed up that way, you don't know how embarrassing it was.
Yeah, it was pretty confused.
Before, to switch gears, because there are a couple more things I want to mention, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
In the mid-boss, his riddle.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually curious, what'd you think of that riddle overall? I know you said you liked it in the play, but I was curious your actual thoughts.
I did think it was a tiny bit cliche, but like I did like the element of choice that existed. You know what I mean?
Right. He gave you 4 choices, and each of them gave a different outcome.
Yeah, that's what I was most interested in, and like playing it again and choosing a different outcome. I mean, the choice was obvious, obviously, but like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I was curious to like get a different outcome.
I'm actually not going to spoil that for you because I'm assuming you're going to try that out in 2.0.
Yeah.
But I will say, all of them have their consequences.
Oh, what does that mean?
Let me put it to you this way. I don't want to spoil the gimmick, but I will say that each choice you have a reward and you have a consequence.
Oh.
Except for the last one.
Good to know then. I'll be sure to check that out.
With that said, Shop Girl.
Oh yeah, that was another kind of thing that was kind of glossed past, I think.
Yeah, Shop Girl. You said you enjoyed the professionalism of it?
I did, but there was also like, what if you just didn't talk to her? You know what I mean? Like, then you wouldn't have anything.
Honestly, when building this game, actually, that's not true. You actually can buy everything she gives you in the shop.
But then why did she give it to you?
Or not, I'm sorry, not the steel set exactly, but other equipment. The steel set is just upgraded from what the shop has.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm sure Raiho, like if you just play it, if you don't even get her stuff, I'm sure, like with what's in the maze, you know, it's also pretty good, and like with how OP Raiho is anyway, like I'm sure he would, you know, you would do fine.
I didn't think it would be an issue.
Yeah, but still, it's just kind of in the vein of professionalism where like that doesn't make much sense. Like if you're just organically playing the game and you're not just handed a demo with, you know, all these levels, if you're not at that level and you forget and you just walk by like a key point like that,
right,
then you're kind of screwed, you know what I mean?
Well, the idea for the Shop Girl was 2 things. One, shops in the real world have sales all the time.
Yeah.
And I wanted that to add as a realism, you know? Some kind of realism, so she gave you a promotional set. The second thing was, I played through the labyrinth with Raiho using all the available items, playing him clean, and then playing him with the skill set.
Right.
And I looked at it and I go, level testing is a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the ass that I just didn't want to deal with.
I mean, that's true.
And I go, what can I give Raiho that will give him an edge without ruining the game? And the steel set was born. That was my thought process there.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It was just like, in that instance, it was a little confusing with like, because I don't think you start off with anything.
You don't, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason it bugged me. Like, if you had basic stuff, then yeah. But, like, if you just completely walk past that, and I don't think I noticed the item guy selling anything, or maybe I didn't have enough money, I don't remember, but...
I gave you enough gold to get
okay, alright. So yeah, that does make sense.
That's why you had so much gold.
Yeah, it was just a little nuance that was kind of weird. And also the two other things, the save point. Want to expound on the save point in the dungeon, in the labyrinth? That one looked very glitchy, and two served no purpose.
I will actually give you a good answer for that. First, I'll talk about its purpose. When I was designing the game, like with 2003, I don't know if you know this or not, because I don't know if you actually tried saving in 2003 or not.
I don't think so.
2003, you have to create a save point.
Really?
They do give you a save option in the menu, but when you're accessing the game, that save function is not the go-to way to do it.
Really?
Yeah, at least from what I remember. I could be wrong, and maybe I misunderstood something in the programming. But as far as I could remember, 2003 did not let you save willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So when I was making this version with XP, I didn't think there was a difference. And I never actually tested it myself. I had no reason to test the save function.
Because I thought the placement of it was good, because it was right next to the boss, or right next to the mini boss, which led to the boss or whatever. So I thought that was fine. It was just, one, it didn't serve a purpose, and two, like when you activate it, it just kind of glitches out.
That is because I did not know how to fix that at the time.
Oh, okay.
Now I know how to fix that.
Oh,
I learned how to fix that. I looked that up specifically. But I did not know how to fix that at the time. It's because the tile set I'm using is actually a moving tile set.
Oh, okay.
And I did not realize it was a moving tile set. So I just left it at default like I would a normal object. And it's designed when you interact with it, it moves.
Oh, okay.
And I did not know how to turn that off. I know how to do that now, but... there's also a ton of items in the maze that... Everything in the maze serves a purpose.
Right.
Every item in there has one purpose or another, except for one. And that's because you do not have access to that part of the game.
Oh.
The letter that you couldn't interact with.
Oh yeah, the letter I had.
That is an item specific for a side quest. What it is you can take that to a post office in another town in the game. And they will open the letter and you can read it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Wait, why can't you just open the letter yourself?
Special seal.
Oh, okay. Explained with magic.
Yes, explained with magic. They don't want... It's their anti-mail theft.
Okay.
Once you read that letter, it opens up a whole other side quest to do with... You ever play the original Paper Mario?
A little bit.
You ever play the letter fetch quests?
I don't think so.
It was something like that. but that's the only item in the maze you cannot access. I actually looked back on that and was like, you know, that's probably going to bite me in the ass later. Actually, I do want to address this because you asked this in the video, and I was like, I'm going to tell him about it.
What?
I don't know if I told you about it or not.
The rabbit?
No, the rabbit, yeah, that's one.
You told me about that one, right?
The rabbit, yeah. The other one is, you asked why you couldn't see the rest of the world. The world looked closed.
Oh, yeah, because, like... Yeah, I mean, it was basically those areas, and there was no, like, visible way. Like, even if you walk to, like, an opening, and, you know, Raiho said, I can't go there, like, you know, and I have to finish here first or whatever, there was just, like, no openings at all.
In the actual game, there's an opening, there's a path to the outside of the world. But I was too lazy to come up with some dialogue for Raiho to say to sidestep the opening. Right. So I erased it. And just said, you don't need to see the rest of it anyway. That's what happened there. To go on a completely different tangent, because I'm pretty much out of things to talk about here. But this came to me while I was waiting for you to get back on the line. With the Gray Facade, when I released that demo, I was wondering, how would you go about it if I released multiple demos of that game? Because it's a long game.
Multiple demo? Like, what do you mean?
Like the first demo would be what I told you about. Because you get a feel for the game in the first demo, but it's only the basics, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get an almost complete picture like you do with
Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy. I was wondering how would you feel about multiple demos with progressive points, like showing it how the game evolves.
If done right, it could be good, I guess. But most people just want, you know, one cohesive demo.
Right. I was wondering how that would sound to you. I'm trying to get my thoughts out.
Yeah. I mean, probably no more than two, honestly. Like, if you were going to release two, like, completely different demos, probably no more than two. But then it just kind of seems like you're throwing stuff out there, you know what I mean? And when you could just be working on the game instead. On
the game itself.
Yeah.
The game itself is actually going to be done quicker than I think it is.
Like, if you ask me personally, I would prefer just one cohesive demo.
Right.
But if you're going to do it that way, then, like, two, I guess. But, yeah.
Well, it was just a thought I had, like a demo, like, one of the ideas I was having is, like, a demo for the villain and then a demo for our hero.
Right.
And then, ignore any sounds you hear. I'm working while we're talking. Another thing, and I'm bringing this up as a spoiler, I think there is going to be a secret ending in that game.
Oh, really?
If I can fit it. With that being said, I'm not sure what else to talk about with Lost Legacy.
Right.
We've pretty much gone over everything that I wanted to discuss. Do you have any more questions that you want to bring up?
No, I think for the most part I'm good. Just so, Lost Legacy version 2 demo coming soon?
Coming as soon as I can get it finished.
And the Gray Facade demo coming eventually?
Honestly, that'll actually probably be sooner than the Lost Legacy version 2 demo.
I thought Lost Legacy was like 80% done. The Lost Legacy
it is, but there's one issue with that version that's giving me a lot of trouble.
Okay. So you just kind of
and
laid off of it?
I shelved it.
Okay.
I shelved it to get a better perspective.
Hmm.
I actually told you about the issue I'm having there, I think.
Maybe, I don't remember.
You gave me some stuff that helps.
Oh, okay.
But I'm still looking through it. It's the forest.
Right, okay, yeah. I remember.
Spoiler.
But, yeah, I mean, honestly, because you've sent me some screenshots and I really want to see more, but I'm, like, a good bit excited for the Gray Facade. For just, like, what you've told me. Like, if you just keep working on your mapping, then, like, your games are going to be great. Like, they're going to be so good, like, and, like, which is a weird thing was, like, because, you know, earlier we were talking about, like, our experience and, like, RPGMaker, how you're a lot better than me and, like, the coding aspect, but when it comes to making maps, I'm a little bit better, you know?
Right.
And so, like, just the thought, like, a co-op game, like a co-developed game it would probably be really good. Or, hopefully,
it would.
Really good.
Question.
Yeah. Answer.
Question 2, on that same segue. You mentioned... My brother, the Joker. Anyway. You mentioned earlier how both of I'm getting better at mapping, and you're a little bit better than I am usually in mapping.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say why I'm getting better at mapping, other than the fact that I'm testing some new things out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed or how much you've played around with VX Ace.
Not much.
But VX Ace has a system where they give you preloaded maps.
Mm-hmm.
And I studied those maps and how those preloaded maps are built.
Like the structure of them?
The structure, yeah. And that's what really made everything click for me.
That's awesome.
The only thing is I'm trying new things out with designing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every screenshot I sent you is 100% mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get lazy now and again when I'm doing like filler for towns.
Right.
And I'll throw in a pre-made inn or whatever.
Oh.
A pre-made interior when I'm just I don't want to, like, there's one building in one of the towns where I'm like, I couldn't think of how to make it.
Uh-huh.
It's the only building in that entire town that I didn't make from scratch.
Right. I mean, you could always go back to it later, like, if you do feel like, you know.
Yeah, redesigning it. Changing things up, making it my own.
Yeah.
But I was just being lazy, and it was like, you know, it's already there.
You just wanted to move on.
Move on. Because it was the last thing I needed to do in that town. I was just like, you know what? Screw it. You'll probably chew me about it later, but because you like individuality, you like the different designs and stuff.
Yeah, and like the ones you showed me so far were, you know, except for, you know, 1 or 2 nitpicks in each one, they were great.
Which I thank you for. I'm trying my best out.
Yeah.
I actually have a question for you.
All right.
You said you're getting more back into the RPG making. Do you have any projects in the wings?
I was going to announce that at the end, actually.
I jumped the gun.
It's in the very early stages, but like as I started messing around with XP again, or when I started messing around with RPGMaker in general again, I just kind of, usually for me, I come up with titles first and then just build around that, because I think the title sounds cool, so I'll just build around that. So, the game I'm currently, quote-unquote, working on, which hasn't really been touched in a while, is called Regis the Withered Crown. And, I currently have, I have the characters, they're all named, and I have a very, very thin idea for a plot that I plan to expand on soon. Like I literally have like the first two words that are going to be said in the entire game. Not the first two like sentences that are going to be said in the entire game. And like I've told you before, it's probably not going to be so much a game as more so like an experience in a way. It's not going to be the longest game ever, and it's not going to I'm going to try to put random battles to a minimum and try to, try to do what I can to like make the battles mean something. And I'm going to try to put as much story in there that I can, because like I already have ideas for sequels, you know what I mean? Well, that's not fair to say. I don't have ideas for sequels. I have titles that would sound cool as sequels, which is usually how I work. But because I've given you a lot of titles.
Yes, you have.
The Gray Facade being one.
You're the guy I go to for music and titles.
But yeah, it's, I feel like obviously I have a lot of stuff I'm doing lately, behind, or, not including personal stuff. There's just a lot of projects that I trying to get out, and
right.
It's just I think the more I think about it, the more I will start putting pen to paper and start, hashing out the plot to Regis, the Withered Crown, and obviously I'll be asking you a lot for programming advice and stuff. And
what are you making that in?
XP. It's just going to be short, yeah.
Well, I have enough experience anyway.
Yeah, and because I remember when I first bought XP, and we were talking about map making, and I made a bunch of maps, and I just started sending them to you, like showing you them.
Right.
Pretty much every map that I sent you is most likely going to be in the game. So
that'll be nice.
Yeah. And you complimented on some of them. Like I'm pretty sure you thought most of them were pretty nice, like the church and stuff. So
you do good work.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm not going to give an ETA because I barely have time to work on it, but
Right.
Honestly, I just wish you could Let's Play it, which sucks that you can't. But
honestly, if you designed it and actually got it out there, I'd probably figure out a way to Let's Play it one way or another. Because while I am having technical difficulties and I am having issues getting that figured out,
right,
this is something in the works that I've wanted to do since day one.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much as you wanted me to release something for you to play, I'm in the same boat.
Oh, you were excited for Winds of Nevermore?
I was extremely disappointed when that was scrapped. Especially considering how close you were to completion.
Yeah. I literally had the boss room to program. That was it. Boss room, credits. Well, okay. Level testing probably would have made me want to kill myself, but other than that, yeah, I was...
Would you ever...
Wait, hold on. So, before we go, because we're almost at 2 hours...
Gotcha.
And cutting this down is going to make me want to kill myself. I want to announce tentative plans, very tentative plans, to remake the first games we've ever started making, the Elemental series.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, so do you want to expand, because we've talked about that already, like personally, but you want to expound on that a little bit?
Yes. This is actually something I love doing. Elemental series, as I said, it was my favorite thing to work on with you back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask, if we remake the Elemental series, would you redo Winds of Nevermore, or would you have me doing all that?
I think it would probably be like, because you did ask me about that, and I told you that I would probably help with the story, but
right.
like I would probably, at least try to attempt to help with map design. Do it as cooperative as I possibly could.
As you can.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. The only issue I have with redoing the Elemental series is I don't know what your thought process was with Winds of Nevermore, or with how that was going to go about.
Right.
I know the gist of it. I know the gist of the plot, and I know pretty much up to the final boss room.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have all the ideas that you implemented, because I know you had some surprises in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm pretty much... I'm open to collaboration on the entire thing. Like, the entire series. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, we could just hash it out. So, like, you wouldn't be alone in the dark. If you're like, hey, what did this mean in Winds of Nevermore? I would tell you to the best of my memory. Like, right now, what's one thing that, like, you're wondering about?
Honestly, the biggest thing, the one thing that you didn't tell me anything about, that boss room.
That boss room, god damn it, can I remember that?
That final boss.
So that boss room, so I think I just needed to program it. I'm almost certain I just needed to program it. It was built already. So like, what do you...
Like, I know, I saw teasers of the tower.
Right.
And that final room was the only thing you never leaked anything out to me about. I don't even know what the boss was.
So, how that was probably going to go down was, you go through all three of the temples, right? So you go through the Kenji ruins, and you gather. This is one thing that always bothered me with the game, because it was a cliche that I didn't like, but I couldn't find a workaround for it, which pissed me off to no end. So you go to the Kenji ruins or you go to the three areas to regather pieces of the Nevermore. No, actually, only two areas, because the last piece is in the tower. But and then I remember you fight three different knights who are guarding each piece, and they're named after my father. They were named after my father and my two uncles. And I remember you beat the last knight, and he gives you some like exposition or something, and so you go in and you battle. See, this is all just going from complete memory, so I may not remember most of this stuff. But I remember you go in and like Abyssa is in like, she's in a weakened state, like very weak.
Right.
And then like I think it's revealed that the man in the hood who you fight like 3 times before, I think. You fight him a couple times before, he's a recurring boss. The man in the hood, he's revealed to be like the one who kind of orchestrated the whole thing, because Abyssa can like not do anything, because she's completely weak. And I believe he joins forces. You fight him, and then you activate the Nevermore, and then the Nevermore turns out to be this like being. I think you remember the sprite for it, or not the sprite, but the picture for it. It was like a black element, like a shadow.
The shadowy elemental. I remember that because
the shadowy elemental girl. Yeah, and so
I remember that.
The final boss was pretty much the embodiment of the Nevermore, like what it was. What it was, I don't fucking know, but the final boss was going to be just the embodiment of what the Nevermore was. And
we actually had an explanation for that.
Oh, we did? No. I don't remember what happens to Abyss. I don't remember if she disappears, if she runs or something, but yeah, that was basically the end of it. And like, it was so close to being done. I don't know what runtime would have been. Cause
from what I remember of the game, I'd estimate maybe a couple hours.
I don't think so. I think it would maybe
be shorter.
I think maybe 20-something minutes. Maybe half an hour, I'm not sure.
You're probably right, because it was shorter than anything I made.
Yeah. And I just remember when I started expanding on it, it was just a lot of fun to do, because the original the original concept ended at the Kenji ruins where you beat Elder Matori, and then
I remember
eventually,
that.
yeah, then eventually you know, in the updated version, you you go on your ship to an island called Aurora, where you have to go into the ice cave and whatnot. And one of my favorite little pieces of programming that I did was like there was like a blockade in front of the path to the cave, so you had to there was a prerequisite. You had to go like talk to somebody while they quote unquote shoveled the snow. And so like I think after you went to the bar, the bartender would say, "Oh, they should be done by now, so go ahead." Or you had to do like 3 things maybe, and then I don't remember. But then you know the blockade would go away. Then you could go to the path, and then the cave would be right there. And so yeah, that was one of my favorite pieces. That was one of my favorite pieces of programming. My complete favorite was Tony's airship,
My favorite, which was my favorite.
which was completely, like, not to give myself super credit, but which was completely amazing and just batshit insane. And it was just,
Actually,
that one was a lot of fun.
to say something about that, I remember you were upset because we couldn't figure out how to make you explore the whole airship.
Yeah.
I actually know how to how you could have done that now.
Really?
Yeah, I figured it out recently, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, if I knew this then, we could have explored the entire airship.
Yeah,
So if we
yeah, I remember there was like switches you had to do before you could go into the before you could go into the captain's room.
actually now you can set it up as switches. You can set up variables, which will also do it.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite way would be a conditional branch.
Okay.
With that said, if we remake, actually no, when we remake that that airship,
Right.
I will definitely, if you want to program it or if you want me to program it, one of us will be walked through how to do it.
Because I remember, like, everything that happened there involved Tony in some way. Which Tony was this character who was gonna be in pretty much every single game, and he was just completely stupid and batshit insane. And like he steals an airship, and like you have, I remember like one of them. You go into the engine room and you talk to him, and you know he says everything's fine, and then explodes, and he's like, "Oh, that's not good." I
remember that.
It was just stuff like that that just made it so fun. Like you go into the, I don't know if it was his room or like a lounge or a bar, and he's just completely wasted.
That's right. All the alcohol bottles
All the
everywhere.
alcohol, yeah. But I mean, that was very fun times back then. But
Last question, because you said we were getting kind of overtime.
yeah.
Would you want to do another episode of this, just discussing the Elemental series?
At some point in the future, sure. Yeah.
Because I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd also like to announce that my buddy Kev here, he has always wanted to do an interview series, and I beat him to the punch. So fuck you.
I actually didn't catch that.
Oh, well, fuck.
You glitched out.
I said my buddy Kev here has always wanted to do an interview series, but I beat him to the punch.
Yep. Damn you.
But yeah, so I'm really excited for the Gray Facade. Honestly, I'm gonna work on the logo. I'm gonna try to work on the logo tonight. But yeah,
Would
this
you?
was... Go ahead.
Sorry. Would you actually make a title screen for that as well?
For the demo?
The Gray Facade. Not the demo, but the actual game.
Yeah, I could try. I usually prefer making the title screens when they're closer to being completed.
Okay, I can wait. I was just wondering because I actually, when I open it now, it's just a black wall. There's no.
Oh yeah, I can make like a mock-up one, just like a temporary one.
That'll help. All right,
Yeah.
I believe we were doing an outro.
But yeah, I'm super excited for the Gray Facade. Hopefully you're interested in Regis the Withered Crown.
I am. I'm actually curious.
I can't wait to do another demo video on Gray Facade, and I can't wait to play the new version of Lost Legacy. I'll probably do a video on that too, but not a review, just a video, just a gameplay video. Yeah, this was cool. We kind of went on I think talking about the Lost Legacy demo kind of broke everything off.
Yeah.
But
we got off on tangents.
Yeah. But yeah, this was cool. Hopefully I'll do more of these, maybe with people, maybe by myself. But yeah, thanks for tuning in to CCR Radio. My guest today was K of Kingdom Shadowing, also known as
Pleasure
Kev.
to be here.
Don't know why I called him K of Kingdom Shadowing. I'm trying to kill that name. Anyway.
Why? Never mind.
Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all later.
See you guys.